patients.
Have they had surgery before? Have they ever had a problem with anesthesia before? And this is an elective procedure, right? Nobody has to have a tattoo.
Some tattoo artists feel the expediency undermines the art. Ben Shaw owns a studio in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and is the public relations officer for the Alliance of Professional Tattooists.
On the client's end, if they're allowing you to stab them thousands of times and modify the appearance of their body, there's a lot of trust for you. We'll spend years on projects together.
But Frank Charles in Southern Florida says Sedation Inc.'s efficiency worked for him because he struggles to sit still, and he had money to splurge.
I don't have any kids to worry about paying for things, so it's just me and my dog.
He's 59 years old and barely had any tattoos before getting the full sleeve and half chest tattoo.
I chose it late in life, but the only good thing is it'll last longer, I guess. The color will still look good when I'm in my coffin.
Charles would consider a leg sleeve someday. Those cost more than $40,000, so he says he'd need to win the lottery first. In Miami, I'm Veronica Zaragovia for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm Sabri Benashore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From 8 p.m., American Public Media.
Good morning. This is meteorologist Russ Murley with your WTJX local forecast for Tuesday, December 10th. Partly sunny skies. There may be an isolated shower, 85 to 89 this afternoon. East to northeast winds at 10 to 20. Partly cloudy skies with a risk of showers, mainly late tonight, lows in the middle to upper 70s. Partly sunny with spotty showers tomorrow, 84 to 88. There's a slight chance of showers Wednesday night, 75 to 79. Golden sunshine, a beautiful day Thursday, 85 to 89. Rip current risk will be moderate today. Frontline investigates the deadliest mass shooting in Maine's history. That's tonight at 11 p.m. on WTJX TV, Channel 12.
WTJX 93.1 Charlotte Amalia, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And good Tuesday morning, and welcome to another edition of Analyze This here on your NPR station in the U.S. Virgin Islands, WTJX FM. We're yours truly, Neville James. It's another gorgeous day in paradise, and we're going to have a great show as we typically do here on Analyze This. In the studio this morning, we've got the Housing Authority, big wigs, joining us here to talk about accessibility starts at home. ASA, the program where the Housing Authority focuses on keeping the community informed on the Virgin Islands Housing Authority initiatives, accomplishments, and highlighting efforts to make housing more accessible and supportive for all residents. So we got two individuals here in the studio, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we might be joined by more as time goes on. So Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Neville. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
My name is Curtis Lewis. I am the Marketing and Communications Specialist in the Resident Wellness Empowerment Department over at the Virgin Islands Housing Authority.
There we go. Good morning. Glad to have you here, sir.
Happy Tuesday, Virgin Islands. This is Johnny Azebo Brown, the Strategic Initiatives and Program Coordinator for the Resident Wellness and Empowerment Department at the wonderful Virgin Islands Housing Authority.
There we go. Glad to have
Glad to be here.
you distinguished gentlemen here in the studio. So how's the Housing Authority?
Everything is looking very, very good. There's a lot of progress that's been happening for this past year, and we're just here to highlight a few of the initiatives that we've been embarking on for the past year to help improve the lives of our beautiful residents living within the Virgin Islands Housing Authority.
Mr. Brown?
Everything's good. A lot of progress being made across the departments, and we're just moving this bus forward, doing our best to support the residents and make sure our resources are accessible. And accessibility starts at home. So
That's what I'm talking about. So, as we normally do, let's go through all the different facilities that falls under the umbrella of the Virgin Islands Housing Authority, starting in St. Thomas. East or west?
We could do west to east.
West or east? We're
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Starting with Michael J. Kerwin Terrace. Then you have H.H. Berg's Homes and Addition, Paul M. Pearson Gardens, Oswald Harris Court, Estate Bavoni,
Lucinda Millen.
Lucinda Millen.
Six entities in St. Thomas. Corwin Terrace, Berg
7.
Homes, Paul and Pearson Garden, Oswald Harris Court, Bavoni, Lucinda Millen. Ain't got 1 and 2 too?
That one is under redevelopment.
That's the only That's the
Yes.
high rise, the 2 high rise?
Yes.
Okay, good. And that's it? Nothing in content?
Canton
Those are
knows.
Canton.
Canton knows. We actually just had the elections there too as well.
That's what I'm talking about. Content notes. Okay, there we go. Now, synchro. Why you wanted to go west or east?
Cause it was just easier for me to remember. Cause I spent I could drive in St. Thomas, but only from like a certain point. So I could drive from like Estate Bavoni to Oswald Harris Court and then to Michael J. Kerwin Terrace. But anything else, I need the GPS.
Oh yes. No man, you can handle that. Because Pearson Garden right down the road.
Yeah.
So you know if you're there Oswald Harris Court, Pearson Garden is an extension of that.
Yeah.
Right? And then Lucinda Millen and Akana.
Yeah.
Right. So you good. You go
The
handle
only
that.
thing really out the way is the Knowles and H.H. Bergs. But the Knowles I know how to get there now because I do a lot of canvassing there.
Yeah, the Knowles easy. Just go up the hill.
Yeah.
Right? When you reach Niski.
It's a crazy hill though with all them bends.
All them swerve.
I love it.
The curves, yeah. So we good. St. Croix.
Starting in west, you have Marley Homes and Addition, Wim Gardens, Williams Delight, Mount Pleasant, Aradias Heights, Candido Guadalupe, Joseph E. James, John F. Kennedy, David Hamilton Jackson, and Bazin Triangle.
Alfonso Piggy Gerard.
Right down the road.
Yeah. Okay, hold on there. You went kind of quick there, so I want to make sure I get right. You got Marley, right?
Yes.
And then Wim Gardens.
Yes.
Williams Delight.
Yep.
And then
Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant. And then
Aradias Heights.
Mount Pleasant. Aradias Heights. Candido Guadalupe.
Yep.
That's around the corner, right?
Yeah, that's also known as Frisenburg.
Frisenburg, yeah.
Frisenburg.
Around the corner from Aradias.
Yeah.
Right? Candido Guadalupe.
You get Wim Gardens, right?
No, Wim Gardens was second. Yeah. Then Williams Lake. We heading west to east, right? Marley, Wim Gardens, Williams Lake, Mount Pleasant, Aria Diaz, Candido Guadalupe,
Joseph E. James.
Soniel.
Yes.
Joseph.
Right there by Island Center.
Joseph G. Correct. And then in Tongue, D. Hamilton Jackson, is that Io?
Yes.
Start from
Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, JFK. and D. Hamilton Jackson, affectionately known as Red Brick.
Yes.
D. Hamilton Jackson. What about water? William is no, that's a Housing Finance Authority. Water God, right?
Yeah, that's a different.
And then Piggy Gerard, right?
Yes.
Piggy Gerard. You know Piggy Gerard played in the Negro Leagues?
Did
You
not.
familiar with that?
No.
Maybe you guys should, you know, I'm a sports junkie, so
Yes.
maybe you should do some research with respect to the importance of the Negro Leagues. And maybe if we want to consider putting up a mural or do something up there.
That is absolutely a great idea.
Down in the
Yes.
Bastion Triangle area.
Highlight a lot of the achievements from, with the housing development reflects.
Correct. Alfonso Piggy Gerard.
There's a lot of heroes that came from the housing authority.
Man, you ain't lying.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? All of us from back in the day had some kind of linkage to one of them. Chabot used to be a housing authority. Ralph D. Chabot
Yes.
back in the day, right?
Yes.
What's it like now when you're driving and you look down and you just see seawater? With the demolishing of the Charles Howard, not only the demolishing of Charles Howard, but it kind of accentuates the demolishing of the Charles Chabot as well.
It's different.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very
it is,
different.
right? Yeah. But it's not gonna be that way forever though.
No,
Yeah.
There's gonna be a rebuild. So.
And it used to be a thing with a basketball court in Chabot. That was a big epicenter.
man. Yo.
Everybody used to meet up there. Big ball game.
Yo. The Inter-Neighborhood League, which was a staple of the Youth Commission on Youth program that was big way back in the 70s.
Those kind of things provide you a sense of unity. So.
That's right. They predated the Curtis Lewises and Johnny Ezekiel Browns of the world. You know what I'm saying? Old age folks like us. So we're good. So right off the, on his face, why 10 facilities in St. Croix and 7 on St. Thomas? That's just how it is? Is nothing intentional? Are there more properties that y'all are looking at?
I wouldn't say...
Or is it more an inheritance type of thing in terms of responsibility?
Inheritance, yes, but you got to remember too, we lost a lot of the communities. Some of them have gone into redevelopment, so you got to take that into consideration.
Plus, St. Croix is just bigger.
It is.
Can't ignore the obvious thing.
And there's also a financial aspect to it as well. And I know plans, ideas have been thrown around out there in terms of getting more or acquiring more. But there's a lot that goes behind getting, or acquiring other, communities and putting them under the portfolio as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, before we get into detail with the initiatives and all that stuff, talk about the program mission of the housing authority. Talk about federal relations and all that stuff. I know you guys are local, but you do work under a federal umbrella. So talk about that. Get the public to have a better feel for how y'all do your thing on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis.
Well, we are semi-autonomous, so we do have a board. So the agency has to answer to its board, and we have board meetings every month. We actually participate in them, and it's a great way to get insight into, what's going on in the agency. And I do want to make it known that these board meetings are public, so anyone is free to attend.
Yes, and we also operate on the HUD guidelines.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yes, and we actually just recently had a visit from the
Secretary
of HUD.
Yeah, she was here.
Ms. Todman.
Yes.
One of us
visited some of the communities. We're over at David Hamilton Jackson.
Yes, we did a walkthrough.
We did a walkthrough. They're getting ready to go on the redevelopment. And based on the HUD guidelines that are put forth, we'll be able to operate under those guidelines and make sure that everyone is living in a safe, comfortable environment and suitable for our residents here in the Virgin Islands.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. So, accessibility starts at home.
Yes. Not the last time, but earlier this year, we were on a campaign letting everyone know to stay in the loop with us. And accessibility starts at home as an extension of staying in the loop. because we want to make sure that everyone who is living within our housing communities are able to live comfortably and live safely. As we go through the communities and we do our what they call wellness assessments, our coordinators, they go into the communities and they assess each family, and they see whatever the needs are of the residents living within the housing authority. And what they've identified is that there's a population living within the Virgin Islands Housing Authority that are seniors, and as our seniors, age, it becomes very challenging for them at times. If they have an appointment or if someone have to deliver meals, there's sometimes they don't either hear the doorbell, or they don't have an awareness that someone is at the door, so they end up missing their meals, right? And sometimes these residents might go days without eating because they miss their meals. So our director, Ms. Emanuela Perez Cassius, along with her team that go out there and procure these grants, were able to be awarded a grant from AARP. So this initiative, Accessibility Starts at Home, it's part of the community challenge, which is within the grant, and the initiative that we set forth is to address these needs of our seniors and people living with disabilities within our community, right? So we're attempting to install 200 multisensory doorbells, and these multisensory doorbells are doorbells that come with a variation of different colors of lights. So when someone's at the door, you press the doorbell, it lights up in the tenant's apartment, right? So they'll be able to be identified and notified that someone is actually at the door. And the doorbell has a loud chime as well. So if they press the doorbell, if a visitor presses the doorbell, the chime goes off, it's loud in the apartment, and they'll be able to know that someone is absolutely there at the door for them, right? So that's the initiative. Accessibility Starts at Home. That's the foundation of the initiative of why we're here. But we're also letting everyone know that accessibility is multidimensional, right? It's infinite, right? So we're just trying to touch all these different points in terms of where access is concerned. Right, so we have our resident coordinator, resident council coordinator, right? He does a little bit more than resident councils, Mr. Johnny Zebo Brown, who was here last time, talking about some more other of the accessibility touch points in terms of getting the residents wrapped in with the resident councils, and Miss Adina Joseph, who's here with us this morning. Whoop, whoop. One of our coordinators whom I just previously mentioned, who go into the communities and conduct these wellness assessments to be able to extend the access of what the authority could offer to our residents, and make sure that they're able to live comfortably in place in the community.
Good morning, Ms. Joseph. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing well. Talk about your role at the Housing Authority.
Okay. My role at the Housing Authority is a resident wellness and employment coordinator. One of the things that we do as coordinators, we go out into the community. You can hear me?
Of course.
Oh, we go out into the community, we meet with the residents, we conduct assessments. These assessments are based on the 8 dimensions of wellness, and we use these assessments to gauge how those residents are doing, what we can do to step in to assist them in any way. Like with the seniors that are getting the doorbells, we've acknowledged in our senior communities mostly that we have seniors who, when they come to deliver food, they knock on the doors, the seniors don't hear it, the food sits outside, the nurses come by, they knock on the door, nobody answers, so they assume that they're not there, but the seniors are inside, they're just not hearing the knocks on the door. If they're in the room in the back, they're not gonna hear it. And then we have seniors who are hard of hearing, their hearing is starting to go. So they're in the front room too, but they're still not hearing those knocks on the door. So with the doorbells, when it lights up, they'll see that someone is at the door rather than hearing that someone is at the door. Another thing we do as resident coordinators is when we're assisting residents, let's say, for instance, you come into a community, you need assistance with getting furniture, you need assistance with getting your kids into school, you don't know where to start. You meet with your coordinator, we conduct a wellness assessment, and based on the needs that you have, we step in and we help you out with those things. So we'll tell you where you need to go, we assist you in making those appointments and getting all of your things in order.
There you go. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
Paulin Pearson. So let's use an example. Corwin Terrace, down by the airport. Are you to do an assessment, a general assessment for every area, before you actually get into the individual homes, what have you? Because we're talking community, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, good.
Those
So
will be considered needs assessments.
that's the needs assessment.
Yes.
Community needs assessment.
Community needs assessment, right? So
And
so-
then
so
from
we knock it
those,
out.
we're able to develop the needs of that community.
Okay, good. So it starts with an area assessment first, and then we get into the individual.
Yes, you got macro and micro.
There we go. Folks like us, we don't really use those big terms here on the show. So I want to thank you very much, Mr. Brown, for working with me this morning. We got the Housing Authority here in the house. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
Analyze This with Neville James is underwritten in part by the Virgin Islands Energy Office, powering policies and programs for a more sustainable tomorrow. The Virgin Islands Energy Office, proud to support public media in the Virgin Islands.
Morning Edition takes you across this country and around the world with stories that keep you informed and the context to understand what matters. The news comes at you quickly, but we slow it down to examine each story from different angles and give perspective on what might happen next. A brand new day comes with new possibilities and a new edition of Morning Edition from NPR News.
Morning Edition, weekdays at 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. on WTJX FM 93.1.
Join the United States Air Force Band of Mid-America in celebrating this holiday season. Tune in for Spirit of the Season, a collection of timeless holiday music beautifully performed by American Airmen. Don't miss this one-of-a-kind holiday presentation.
Tune in December 16th at 10 p.m. on WTJX TV Channel 12.
WTJX, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands, is underwritten in part by Bank of St. Croix, offering Elevate Checking, a mobile banking app, and direct deposit. Online at bankofstcroix.com. Bank of St. Croix is proud to support public media in the Virgin Islands.
Community is important on our islands. Manifest your support of community by keeping the informative and educational programming that you get from WTJX FM, your local NPR station, on the air. Show your support by donating at WTJX.org.
And we're back here on Analyze This. We've got the Housing Authority folks here in the studio. Accessibility Starts at Home campaign. We got Mr. Curtis Lewis. He's with Marketing and Communications. Mr. Ajani Azibo Brown, Strategic Initiatives and Programs. And Ms. Adina. Yes. Does he pronounce it?
Yes.
Adina Joseph, Resident Resiliency Coordinator for St. Croix. Yo, where's the rest of the team, man?
The
What
rest
happened?
of the
You
team
busy?
are out
In the field.
In the field,
You
taking
busy?
care of business.
That's what I'm talking
Taking
about.
care. It's the holiday season, wrapping up the year. Not to date the podcast, but you know, we're trying to take care of everything and make sure that we go out with a bang.
Mm-hmm. So give them a shout out anyway.
And then we have events happening as well. So we have people out there planning events.
Yes, big up to Miss Latoya Stradiron.
Yeah, she's a residency coordinator for
in
St. Thomas.
Yeah, she has an event coming up in St. Thomas on December 20th.
Yes.
Ida Mendes.
And she's in St. Thomas as well, another residency coordinator.
Mhm.
Going to be assisting with putting together that event as well for the holidays. That's going to be in Paul M. Pearson Gardens.
Safari Emmanuel.
Safari Emmanuel, coordinator who's mostly overseeing the Christianstead communities. And Miss Adina Joseph, who handles everything on the western end of the island.
Kwane or Kwame?
Queen
O. Bartlett Jr.
Queen O. Bartlett Jr.
Yeah.
Our
Queen.
assistant director.
I like that. Yeah. Assistant Director, Residence, Wellness, and Empowerment. And, of course, Ms. Emanuela Perez Casillas, who is the Director of Residence, Wellness, and Empowerment. So, different communities. Every community has its own personality, its own look. We're talking about Cohen Terrace. Those are mostly one-story units down there.
There are some two-story in Kerwin.
Yeah, there's some, but they're mostly one-story, right?
For the most part.
Right, and that's
towards the back is where you'll see the two-story.
Two-story units, unlike like a Lucinda Millen, which is.
Well, Lucinda Millen is like a whole big building.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Multi-floors.
Just so that's the different personalities.
Yeah, apartment style more so.
Yes.
Whereas in Michael J. Curran Terrace, it's like more houses in a sense.
Yeah, down there in Bournefield.
Yeah.
Now, Pearson Garden, over there in St. Thomas, which is in between Oswald Harris Court and Lucinda Millen.
Correct.
That has a rich history. A lot of folks actually refer to it as housing. Right? The modern day nickname is the ghettos, right? And we actually look at that affectionately, not like how people will want to think of a ghetto in a negative context. You know what I'm saying? We look at that because Oswald Harris Court is new housing, right? Because it came subsequent to Paul M. Pearson Garden. Having that, those actually got 3 facilities in what I would deem a high density commercial area, if not district. Because you got the Wheatley, right? You got the Lockhart. You got the Lockhart facility, the Lockhart Shopping Center, right across from Oswald Harris Court, right?
Yes.
You got
we Rancheros.
Yeah. We got Wendy's, a gas station on Mandela Circle area right there, right? And then you got Yacht Haven, right across the street. You know what I'm saying? So
all walking distance.
Yeah. So in a sense, isn't that a good thing from the standpoint that it forces the housing authority to make sure that Pearson Garden, Lucinda Millen, as well Harris Court, they're on the up and up in that area there. And you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we're looking for incentives, right, for every day. You know, we shouldn't just, we want to build something and then we leave it like it is. We're looking for continuous recurring incentives. That shows that we have the ability to function in any setting or circumstance.
I agree.
Okay, good. So the continuous reinvestment and redevelopment, which you mentioned earlier, right?
Yes.
How do we keep making that argument to HUD and the folks who we reach out to provide that support for what we do locally?
For me personally, I feel like from being a homeowner and anyone who's owned anything, you would know that nothing stays the same. As time goes on, things need upkeep, they need renovation, they need to be maintained on any level, right? At some point, you need a new roof. At some point, you need a new heating system. At some point, you need to do a resurfacing, right? And what may be state of the art back in the 50s is not state of the art no longer in 2024, 25, 26, 27. And I have to give a big kudos to the authority. Shout out to Miss Lydia Pell. Big up to the new director, Mr. Dwayne Alexander. Rest in peace to Robert Graham. Everyone who played a major role in putting together the modernization and the redevelopment of the communities in the portfolio, and making sure that everything is being assessed. They do these quarterly inspections on all the units to see the type of conditions that the development is in. And there's certain guidelines based on the Inspire Act and the criteria that need to be met. So if one of the particular communities aren't up to standard, then we could be able to address those situations and make sure that, okay, this one needs to be redeveloped. Maybe this one doesn't fully need to be developed. Maybe it could be partially developed. And just to make sure that, everything within our portfolio is up to date and meets those modern standards for the times that we're living in now, and not seem outdated and unsafe as well, right? Because once structures start to deteriorate, paint starts to chip or peel, whatever the case is, we can't have anyone living in those conditions. It's a safety hazard. If your fence is broken down, you need to put new fencing. The streets need to be fixed and paved. The playgrounds are not in good upstanding conditions. All of these things needs to be addressed, assessed, and then handled.
The Bovoni property, that's the project that's up on the hill?
Yes.
Okay, how that area make it out?
Pretty good. They have their own resident council as well, and our community is doing good. A little trouble here and there, but that's everywhere,
Yeah, that shouldn't be a concern. Now, you said Tutu High Rise is redeveloping right now?
Yes, redevelopment.
Okay. Can we get an update on that for those who may be listening? Or anything, would it be generic if you don't want to?
The last thing I've heard, and I'm not certain because I haven't visited the site, there were plans on breaking ground. Prior to that, there were requisitions that went out to find contractors and put the right people in place to make sure that the project actually gets off the ground and up and running. But I will absolutely get an update for the community and make sure that to update that in our newsletter, because we put out a newsletter every month, and that's one of my goals, is to make sure that as these redevelopment starts to happen, that we be able to inform the community as time goes by on where we are in these development, because people want to know.
Yeah.
Every time we go to, especially when we visit St. Thomas, especially the folks over there definitely always are interested in knowing, because as you know, Neville, we're in a housing
authority
crisis.
building right next to the curriculum center that was severely damaged in a hurricane. There's a building when you bank the corner and you pass the curriculum center. There's another building there. That's a housing authority building?
I'm not sure.
No?
Yeah, not sure.
Okay. The Burgers home, that's weird. That's up around the field area? That's in the hospital growing area?
This is Mr. St. Thomas right here.
I need the GPS to get to H.H. Burgs, but it is up. It is up. I've been there like once or twice, and it is up on a hill, and it's out of the way. It's out of the way to put it.
How big is it? How big?
That's one of the smaller communities.
That's one of the small communities, right?
Smaller.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
We did actually just have the Phase 3 resident council elections.
Yeah.
And the two communities for the elections were Candido Guadalupe here in St. Croix, also known as Frizenburg. And then we also had the Knowles at Content over in St. Thomas. And the one thing I can say is that the participation has been increasing, since the first set of elections. In 2022, we had a low of 23 ballots cast, while in Phase 3, we were able to get a high of 52, so more than double.
Okay.
We can also say that the number of candidates has been increasing as well. In Phase 1, we were only able to get the minimum, which is 5, a candidate for each position on the council. In Phase 3, Candido Guadalupe got a total number of 7 candidates on the ballot, while the Knowles had a total of 8. So, you know, residents are starting to buy in, participation is increasing, more residents are starting to come out to these monthly resident council meetings, and this bus is moving.
It's moving.
Yes, the next thing in line for the phase 3 resident councils is actually the onboarding process. We have their bylaw training scheduled for this week, and then we have their swearing in scheduled for next Tuesday. That's next Tuesday, December 17th. From 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we're going to be hosting that in the VHA boardrooms in both districts. We've already sent out invitations. We actually invited the Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications, as Chairman Blyden has been a big support throughout the process. You know, Chairman Blyden is who actually swears in the newly elected council. So for that, we're greatly thankful. And I do want to point out, we actually just established a resident advisory board, which is made up of the presidents from each resident council, our 2 resident commissioners, and a housing choice voucher program representative to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table. And the role of this board is to help the Virgin Islands Housing Authority in developing its annual plan and 5-year plan. And who better to ask than the people living within these communities for feedback and recommendations?
That's what I'm talking about. Now, Harrigan Court used to be a housing authority?
Yes.
Yes.
It's no longer, or because it's under renovation? And right now nobody live in there, that it don't fall under IO. Paul, you want to talk to that?
I think we are all unsure. I think the community is still, the grounds are still held by the authority. However, until we get that community into RAD, we're not sure if they're going to rebuild or if they're going to leave that lot the way it is. As of right now, we are completely unsure.
Well, when she says we, she's talking about the people that's in the room.
Yes, the
not
3 of us.
Not the authority, because there are different departments within the authority that are overseeing the different aspects of what makes the authority run. So there's conversations that are happening that we're probably not purview to. And whenever we get that information, obviously, then we'll be able to disperse it to the community. And as I mentioned before, in the monthly newsletter, which is something that I personally oversee, will be able to update the community on the developments and redevelopments of these communities and properties that we hold in our portfolio.
Now, Ms. Pell was on this show about 2.5 years ago in 2022. And they were asking for what Mr. Brown just articulated is critical when we're talking about area development, which is community involvement, right? Now, I don't know if all 3 of you were working at the authority at that particular time, summer of 2022.
I started in September of 2022.
22, yeah. Okay, so at that time, if I can recall the conversation, Ms. Pell was saying that they wanted the community to play a part in direction as it relates to Ludwig Harrigan Court. Now, this is a talk show, so we're entitled to rendering opinions. Just because we have an opinion don't mean that it's facts. So I want to make that clear up front, right? A lot of these areas that fall under the purview of the Housing Authority are near and dear to the people of St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. Okay? Got a lot of history involved with a lot of these areas. To include, in particular, in the town area of Frederiksted, Marley, and Harrigan. I'll make a suggestion. If, in fact, the Housing Authority has changed its position, you can want to ask Ms. Joseph, and I just know You pretty much said this above your pay grade. So I ain't gonna hold it against you, right? Then say so. So if you ain't going forward with the reconstruction or the redevelopment of Harrigan Court, you're better off saying so early than stringing people out and giving them the impression you're doing it, and then you're gonna make the decision down the road, we ain't doing it. That's just my suggestion as someone with old age, knowing how to deal with people. Because Harrigan Court, I'm telling you, that's an affectionate thing. You're talking about a lot of history going on there with Harrigan Court and Mali, down in West particular. So you'll make up our mind, the powers that be. Right? We're talking about Mr. Curtis Lewis, Mr. Ajani Aziba Brown, and Mr. Dinah Joseph. I'm speaking to big shots. Okay? Don't believe I'm gonna send out the emissaries and then we're gonna take it out on them. I don't fall for that. That's a nice trick that'll go on. Okay? It ain't gonna work. So all the leaders, if are listening to me, make up our mind what I'm gonna do with Harrigan and tell the people of St. Croix, specifically Frederickston, if in fact redevelopment gonna take place down there. When we come back and talk about them beachfront condos down there, Mali, because that's what they are, the beachfront properties, right? And how we going about redeveloping that as well, and you know how the accessibility starts at home, which is an excellent initiative, multi-sensory. That's the term I learned this morning. Going to be incorporated. We'll be back right after this.
Because of commercial truck drivers, we keep shelves stocked, haul building supplies, and transport our children to school. But operating these vehicles is a huge responsibility. Driving an 80,000-pound truck while distracted, drowsy, or intoxicated is a danger to the driver and to everyone on our roads. As festivities approach, keep in mind that operating a commercial motor vehicle while under the influence of any intoxicating substance, or even while in possession of alcohol, opened or not, is a federal offense resulting in strict penalties. Impaired driving is illegal, whether you're in a sedan or behind the wheel of a commercial motor vehicle. For more information about commercial vehicle safety, contact the Motor Carrier Assistance Program on St. Croix at 340-513-4897 and 340-227-0953 on St. Thomas St. John.
This message is brought to you by the Virgin Islands Office of Highway Safety.
Look who's rocking around American Masters. Brenda Lee. She started as a child and wowed the world.
She had more double-sided hits than anyone in history, before or since. She was the largest-selling female vocalist of the 1960s.
Enjoy Brenda Lee rocking around.
I love to sing.
On American Masters.
Tune in December 16th at 11 p.m. on WTJX TV Channel 12.
You know a good story when you hear it. Makes you feel, laugh, think. Sometimes you get a little teary. I'm Scott Simon, host of Weekend Edition Saturday, and each week we bring you stories from around the country and around the world. Stories that help you learn, make you smile, catch you by surprise. Please join us every Saturday for the news you need and the stories you won't forget.
Weekend Edition, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
And we're back here and analyze this. So I just went on my soapbox a little bit there, a little bit. I didn't mean to put the good people from the Housing Authority in the studio, right, on the spot. But really what I'm doing is defending them. I'm telling all our decision makers, don't be sending them to the show, right, and subjecting them to me having to ask questions that they can't answer. If I don't know what I'm doing, let us know. Candor has value, and I'm going to leave it at that. What's going on with Mali, man? That beachfront property where folks come from the mainland and can't believe that tenants actually complain in living in these townhouses on the shoreline?
We actually have the resident council elections coming up for Marley in the first quarter of 2025. That's going to be phase 4, and phase 4 is going to be Marley Homes and Addition, Wim Gardens, and then H.H. Berg Homes and Addition over in St. Thomas.
Okay, good.
We are also in the process of opening a wellness center in the community center of the Marley Homes and Additions community, where residents would be able to go right down to the community center and be able to talk about their mental wellness, their physical wellness, their emotional wellness. It'll be right there. It will be soon on site. We've already got the contract together, so we're hoping to get that organization set up in the community center or the building that used to be the old Head Start, so that way the residents can come right down. They don't have to go too far, that they have access to wellness at their...
Accessibility starts at home.
Right, we're making it accessible for them.
Okay.
So it will be accessible where they could just walk right down to the community center, and they have a wellness center happening down there.
Yes, and I just want to reiterate, right? When we spoke about the last topic in terms of the communities that are under the redevelopment. You know, as we started off the conversation earlier, you know, we introduced ourselves as the Resident Wellness and Empowerment Department.
Yeah.
Keyword being residents.
Yeah.
And as I answered the previous question, there's individuals within the authority who work in those particular departments who will be able to answer those questions for you.
Well, you
understand?
So
when we
I don't let the public know. You ain't got to do with IO. I ain't the resident wellness, right? I ain't the construction.
I don't want them to feel like as though they throw us under the bus.
No. But here's the deal. The one thing about Analyze This, right? I enjoy as a history major. I enjoy research, and not just talking for the sake of talking. Right? It didn't take me long. It is the invention in 1994 that is the internet allows for us to access information. All I did was Google Ludwig Harrigan Court redevelopment. A May 2021 story comes up. FEMA obligates $61 million to Housing Authority to restore public housing. So, Mr. AAB, right? Johnny Aziba Brown, you came in September 2022.
Yes.
So this predates you, so you ain't got no say in this. So you're automatically excused.
But I will say this though, redevelopment doesn't always have to be a bad thing once it's done right, and you know both the agency and whoever it is comes to the table. Look at Walter I am Hodge.
No, but I come into that now.
Okay.
I come into that now.
Okay.
But I want to correct you though. You said redevelopment doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Redevelopment is supposed to always be a good thing.
Yes, it's infrastructure. But it's the perception that everyone has is
correct.
Redevelopment.
Correct. Yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
we're good, right? So here's the deal. Right, I'm just reading the article from the source. Right, Virgin Islands Housing Authority has been obligated $61,056,862 to continue the renovation of housing communities devastated during the 2017 hurricane season. This means the federal government has legally committed to provide the funds when all conditions are met, but has not actually spent the money yet. According to the Virgin Islands Office of Disaster Recovery, the funds obligated by FEMA through the Public Assistance Program are earmarked to execute 11 projects, 9 on St. Croix, 2 on St. Thomas. Estate Bovoni and Tutu High Rise, which I mentioned earlier. My sister used to live in Tutu High Rise. I spent a carnival sleeping there, right? When Crucian leave to go carnival in St. Thomas, right? We sleeping from 6 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon because we lying all night. Hitchhiking from downtown out to Fort Miller for Winscon, and then we walking when we got to go, right? Severely damaged when heavy rains, high winds, and flying debris from Hurricanes Irma and Maria ruined interior and exterior elements. FEMA was awarded $16.6 million to repair Bavoni's community center and mailroom, as well as to replace solar panels, windows, and other components in buildings A through E. The folks here from the Housing Authority today, they're in the business of residents' wellness, right? So I'm not going to ask them any questions with respect to the redevelopment there, right? I mean, I've asked a generic question. Clearly, the questions that I'm asking require those who are in the development and redevelopment area. The additional funding for Tutu High Rise will support work that has already begun. Demolition started last October on buildings 10, 11, 12, 14, 22. The recent obligation of $3.5 million will support repairs to buildings 13, 15, 16, 17, and 18. My people have not started to tease me already, right? They say, man, you're a veteran, man. You know about catching right. Dudley Wallace. People having fun with me, you know what I'm saying? Right? But what I'm saying is, okay, on St. Croix, $40.9 million was awarded for the Housing Authority's central office. That's located where? Arredias, right? The Heights. Right? The Arredias Heights, right? And adjacent warehouse in Kings Hill, along with the Wilford E. Pedro Homes, that's Wim Gardens.
Yes.
Right? Walter I. M. Hodge Pavilion, which wasn't mentioned earlier.
Well, because of the redevelopment,
they're no longer under
they're
us.
no longer directly under our portfolio
Okay.
for the time.
Now.
For now.
Yes.
For now, right? Joseph E. James Terrace, which was mentioned. Ludwig Harrigan Court, Mount Pleasant.
There we go.
D. Hamilton Jackson, Aria Diaz, and Candida Guadalupe housing communities. The Housing Authority is not only very appreciative of the federal funds from FEMA to continue our revitalization efforts, but also extremely appreciative of the patience our residents have shown while waiting for major repairs for their homes. Housing Authority Executive Director Robert Graham, who unfortunately, right,
rest in peace,
has moved on, right? According to Housing Authority, this obligation is especially critical for the Walter I. M. Hodge Pavilion Revitalization Project, which includes the complete rehabilitation of 250 units and all that stuff. Here's my suggestion again, right? As someone, I'm up there. I believe, right, as important, critical, necessary, the Accessibility Starts at Home initiative is, because we're identifying a better line of communication, infrastructure, and needs for our elderly and folks who may have issues communicating. I believe the time has come for a complete, whether it be a town hall, a press conference setting, a forum, for the Housing Authority to explain everything as to where we are, so that the public has a better understanding and knowledge of not only the physical projects, but how important they are, Ms. Joseph, to our existence as a people, because it speaks to a high level of sensitivity that is required, because not folks who are living in these areas are not rich and wealthy people, right? Some people have means. Some people can walk up and say, I want to buy the house that I hear, the house for sale, $2.5 million. Let me call my realtor and make it happen. That's not the case.
Well, I will say, I personally attended a town hall at the legislative building where the Housing Authority were able to address a lot of these same questions that you're bringing up right now, and we're able to answer questions. Miss Lydia Pell, our COO, was there as well, answering questions, fielding questions to the public. I'm not sure if there's going to be another one in the upcoming year. It would be great, as you suggested, to keep that on the conversation ongoing. There are monthly meetings that are open to the public, the board meetings.
Okay.
And we encourage people to, the residents and the wider Virgin Islands public and the world to attend these board meetings, because it is open to the public. However, we know you put these things out there, sometimes they just fall on deaf ears and no one actually attends.
I agree. Well, this isn't just calling out the Housing Authority. We got folks here and island residents here who take these things for granted, and they don't really pay the kind of detail that they need to, right? Yes. But I wanted to say this, right? I get beat up on this show folks say, well, never, you don't like Trump and all that stuff, and blah, 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 right? But they never tell me, right, that I always give Donald Trump credit, because when we got slammed with Irma Maria in 2017, he was the president. And he delivered. His administration delivered for the people of the Virgin Islands, that original $8 billion to help us recover, and FEMA and all that stuff. And all that money, the monies that I identified earlier, it came from that initial. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't president for 4 years. He's going to be president again another 5-6 weeks. Things have changed. So the goal, right, is that when monies are identified, and Ms. Joseph, I want your take on this, right, that we get to work and we get busy. And let's deliver the goods on behalf of the people. That's all I'm saying. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying we don't know what's going to happen. Things change. We had a president who loved the Virgin Islands so much that he would come here every New Year's, right? Things have changed, So, and I'm learning today, Walter, I.M. Hodge ain't necessarily a housing authority entity as we once knew it.
So, with Walter I.M. Hodge, when these communities go into RAD, the company that takes them over, they have them for 3 to 5 years, somewhere around there.
Break down RAD, the acronym RAD.
You walked right into that one.
I did.
She said it earlier, and I let it slide. I should have looked it up. Something with development, research and development. What's RAD? Redevelopment and what?
We're gonna go with redevelopment.
We're gonna go with redevelopment.
Okay, but so basically what happens is entities have a management responsibility now.
Right. So right now,
it's not fully a housing authority thing, right?
Walter I.M. Hodge is currently under the cost control company, and they took over while they're doing they did their renovations. They've already put people in homes. They're still putting people in homes. They're gonna keep cost control is gonna keep Walter I.M. Hodge over the next 5 years. They're going to continue building it out, making it what it needs to be, and then they're going to give it back to the authority. Okay. So technically, it is a Virgin Islands Housing Authority community.
Rental assistance demolition.
Rental assistance demolition, yes. So
RAD stands for Rental Assistance Demolition, a program by the U.S. Department of Housing.
Shout out to Google once again.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
University of Google.
That's right. No, but he actually he came on the first time he was saying University of YouTube.
Yes, YouTube University. I actually got a certificate this time. But you mentioned something, Neville, about change, right? And that's the whole point of the Bright Path initiative, right? It's about letting our residents know that nothing stays the same. What if you wake up one day and all your subsidies are gone? We don't know what's going to happen from administration to administration to administration. I know a lot. We mentioned earlier about how near and dear the housing community is to our community, but specifically speaking to a generation prior, right? That some of those glory days unfortunately are gone. The price of things in the grocery store right now is way different from how things were back then. What you could get for $100 in the grocery store back then, you go into the grocery store right now, your cart is half empty. You wonder with $100 gone.
Correct.
So we're here as the Resident Wellness Empowerment Department, encouraging our residents to get on that path of economic mobility, right? Because you don't want to wake up tomorrow and unfortunately you don't know where that next meal is going to come from. You don't know
I'm just looking at
housing
things.
is secure.
I'm looking at things practically though. If the firm of Joseph Brown and Lewis came to me 6 years ago and said, "Look, man, we got some projects you want to deal with, blah blah blah. We need some support." And I said, "Okay, good." He said, "How much I need?" And I said, "Well, $2.5 million." And I said, "You got it." And then I'm not in that position for 4 years, and then when I come back in, the money's still there and the work ain't done. You follow what I'm saying? That's a potential that we're looking at with the incoming former administrator, the chief executive, looking at, well, wait a minute, we appropriate all this money. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? So there's a potential there that you might have some frustration. And, well, if they don't want to get to, why are we appropriating money if they're not going to do what they were supposed to do? So that's what we're dealing with. I'm glad that I learned about RAD this morning. Right, rental assistance demolition. You know what I'm saying? So we're good with that.
There we go.
Here's what we're going to do. Since I was running my mouth for a little bit there because of what happened while the match, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and wrap up the conversation, right? We'll give you one more opportunity to talk about accessibility starts at home. Let them know how there's a timeline, monies, all that stuff, and then we'll bring on the folks for the soup festival that will be taking place this weekend. So we'll take a break. Be back right after this.
Weekday mornings are a juggle, sometimes even a struggle. Morning Edition from NPR News eases you into your day and keeps you company through the chaos of a busy morning. Hear interviews that give you context on the day's biggest stories, along with reporting and updates on the latest breaking news. Stay on top of the world with Morning Edition every weekday.
Morning Edition, weekdays at 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. on WTJX FM 93.1.
Human beings have been making music for tens of thousands of years. It brings us together. It has the power to communicate emotions and ideas. It's a profound part of the human experience. Hear the stories behind the music you love and new music you might fall in love with. I'm Reina Duras. Join me for in-depth interviews with artists who are continuing that musical history on World Cafe.
Weekdays at 10 p.m. on WTJX FM 93.1.
Good morning. This is meteorologist Russ Murley with your WTJX local forecast for Tuesday, December 10th. Partly sunny skies. There may be an isolated shower, 85 to 89 this afternoon. East to northeast winds at 10 to 20. Partly cloudy skies with a risk of showers, mainly late tonight, lows in the middle to upper 70s. Partly sunny with spotty showers tomorrow, 84 to 88. There's a slight chance of showers Wednesday night, 75 to 79. Golden sunshine, a beautiful day Thursday, 85 to 89. Rip current risk will be moderate today. Frontline investigates the deadliest mass shooting in Maine's history. That's tonight at 11 p.m. on WTJX TV, Channel 12.
WTJX 93.1, Charlotte Amalia, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
And we're back here, and during the break, I got the good sidebar conversations that we can't really mention on air. You know what I'm saying? Because people are looking to fight and all that stuff just now, looking to hold on, and the three of them had me how they want. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just joking. These are good people, man. You know what I'm saying? And they work hard. You hear Mr. Brown talking about elections and all that stuff, and the work he puts in, talk about folks offering themselves. It was, he feels proud knowing you only had 5 candidates, so you meet the minimum requirement for representation. In some instances, it went up to 7. The involvement is good. 23 people voted. Now we've gone up to 50, 53 or 55, whatever that number was. He said more than double. So, they feel good knowing that what they're doing is getting traction. Right? That's that. I don't want to speak for you, but that's the impression that I got with what you were saying, sir.
Definitely, like a full circle moment.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So we want them to feel good. So let's get back to it real quick before I excuse you, distinguished young people and future senators and governors and all that stuff and delegates. Accessibility starts at home, right? Key objectives. You got the AARP Community Challenge Grant updates, right?
Yes.
We already got the first installment in grant monies, right?
Right, we did.
And so we're good with that, right?
the next phase in that is to actually go out there and install the doorbells, waiting on the shipment to come in.
And
So
that's
to get
territory.
that,
That's territory-wide?
Territory-wide, 200 units across the territory will be getting brand new multi-sensory doorbells.
Suppose that works so well that you need more.
Then
How do we go about?
When we have to go
More
back to the
grants.
table and get more grants out
Funding.
there to
More
funding
funding.
to get that done.
Okay, good.
And let's add in that these doorbells are being delivered by high school students. Let's add in that we're bringing in high school students to come in. Like we said, accessibility starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
Who better to teach a senior
Mhm.
about their doorbell than a high school student? We
Mm.
bringing them in where they could interact with the community, and these seniors interact with younger people.
It's an intergenerational
Right.
initiative.
Generational.
Generation. 7 syllables. Trying to find a boy this man, isn't it? Sound good. I like that. Because you went with multi-sensory areas earlier and all that stuff. It sounded good.
And macros and
macros
micros.
and micro and all that stuff. It sounded good. It sounded good.
But these are actual words that we use when.
I sound good.
Right.
I sound good. I like this. You know what I'm saying? That's why I get up early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Resident council elections update. You gave us that, right?
Yes.
Doing good. Landlord participation and relationship building. The housing choice voucher program.
Always looking for new landlords, so we just wanted to put the word out there.
Formerly known as Section 8.
Formerly affectionately known as
Affectionately known as Section 8, right? And so that goes. Give me a contact number for folks who listen and want to be a part of what we're dealing with here. We're gonna provide update on increased occupancy rates. How's that working out?
It's
That's
working
a
out
high
really well.
That's a high number, isn't it? The percentages are up there.
Up there, it was 90.
Yeah.
It's going up to 95. But I just spoke about the redevelopments.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers fluctuate based on the units that are coming offline. So it might vary, but where last number we reported was up to 95%.
Correct. As a result of things like RAD and all that stuff, right? Right. Then we gonna highlight the bright path, success, and the resident satisfaction through holistic wellness. That's going well.
That's going well, Mr. Diana Joseph and all the beautiful resident resiliency coordinators who are doing the wellness assessments in the communities with the residents and achieving a lot of success in terms of success stories, helping residents to be able to get resources that they need, and also maybe whatever they're missing in their units and they need assistance. As you mentioned before, not everyone has the ability fiscally and financially to be able to go out there and just access these things. So that's increasing that access from that point and helping residents to be able to get whatever they need for their units.
I'm gonna give you a term that you can run with it.
Yes, I love terms.
Yeah, disposable income.
Disposable income. I love it. Not everyone has a disposable income to be able to afford these things.
There we go.
Let's also add in that the number of assessments being done has also increased, because coming in the last time we were here, I had a total of, within all of my communities, we'd say about 10 to 15% of assessments being done quarterly. Right now, I am up to 95% in one community and over 50% in all of the others. So the residents are staying in the loop and tapping into accessibility starts at home and coming out to get their assessments done and meeting their appointment times.
Take a bow, Ms. Joseph. Doing good.
Thank you.
Now, we mentioned some names earlier, but they've been busy.
Yes.
Because we got holiday season, community activities, and all that stuff. You want to get into that real quickly?
Miss Latoya Stradiron in St. Thomas, as well as Miss Ida Mendez. Those are the coordinators in the St. Thomas district. Paul and Pearson Gardens on December the 20th, holiday event for the community. We want to encourage, as you mentioned earlier before, how beautiful that community is and how rich of a history that community is.
There we go.
And we want to make sure that everyone in the community have a beautiful holiday season. And as we wrap up the year and we step into 2025, again, not to date the podcast, but to make sure we continue that accessibility and that community and the wellness.
And then there's myself and Safara. Safara Emmanuel is over all of Christiansted communities. I am over all of the Fredericksted communities. Safara has also been assisting me with my holiday event coming up. I have a Christmas luncheon happening in Wilfred Pedro, formerly known as Wim Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Come on out on December 18th. You can sit with the seniors, enjoy lunch with them, communicate, dance. There will be a serious bingo tournament happening. Our seniors down there love bingo, slamming at the cards.
And domino.
And domino, yep. So come on down and engage with them. This is what we're doing. We're all busy.
December 17th, Mr. Brown has a event as well.
Swearing in ceremony. It's going to be the FSS completion and phase 3 resident council swearing in ceremony.
What are you talking about?
As I said, that's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12, and that's going to be in the VHub boardrooms in both districts, St. Croix and St. Thomas St. John.
That's what we're talking about.
And I want to take a moment to highlight our new FSS coordinator, as he just mentioned, the swearing in ceremony, that's Family Self-Sufficiency Program, Miss Linnell Brady, as I believe she was with the authority prior, and then she's making a strong comeback and gonna be filling in that role of the FSS coordinator to be able to assist everyone in that program to be able to level up in their economic and be able to have more disposable income.
Now, if you're listening and you want to take down some phone numbers, if you want to contact Mr. Curtis Lewis, 340-778-8442. Right? That's 340-778-8442, extension 2354.
That's right.
Okay? That's if you want to talk with the marketing and communications guru, Curtis Lewis. If you want to talk with Mr. Strategic Initiatives and Programs, Johnny Aziba Brown, 340-725-0465.
Email address is A as in Apple, J as in John, Brown like the color, at vihousing.org. That's
that.
literally VI and then housing.org, not
Correct.
VIHA.
And then if you want to talk with Miss Adina Joseph, and she actually has one of those names, AK Joseph at vihousing.org. That's her email address, akjoseph at vihousing.org, 340-725-0699.
Yes.
Okay? Now, one of the things I want to ask of the audience, right? Sometimes you may not even be associated or have a need with respect to the housing authority. Don't hesitate to call them just to talk to them and let them know, look, I heard y'all on a radio station today, in this case, analyze this. I have a suggestion. Maybe you might want to consider this. You know, that's just good, you know, societal behavior, right? That we communicate with each other, because you might have a outstanding suggestion that I don't have. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to call them, right?
And we are very open to constructive criticism.
Well, you had better be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, 'cause that's what makes you better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'd also like to shout out the resident commissioners. The resident commissioner for St. Croix is Ashley Archibald, and he's coming out of Aradias Heights. And the resident commissioner for St. Thomas St. John is Simba Abif from Oswald Harris Court.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Now, let me ask this question. This 778-8442, that's a general number?
That is the St. Croix.
That's a St. Croix number, right? That's a main
Yes.
number, right? So for those who are listening, if you're not contacting the 725 numbers, right, for Mr. Brown, which is 725-0465 or 725-0699, they can call the 778-8442 number and still get in communication with both of you?
They can get in contact with anybody by calling that number. They just have to ask for a representative from the resident wellness and empowerment team, and they will be transferred to any one of us. And if they don't get one of us, they'll transfer you to our next person.
And
someone
then,
will
So
be on
why
the line.
doesn't Mr. Lewis have a 725 number? Why does he have a general number? What is it about Mr. Lewis that disqualifies him from having a 725
He's
number?
special.
Was he rude?
He's not rude, and he was not disqualified. We call it special privilege.
Has he been? Oh, special privilege.
Special privilege
for Adina Joseph. And
No. It's special privilege for
AB. Because I got the 725 numbers, and homeboy got the generic. He got the general number.
Because we are out in the community most times, and Mr. Lewis is in the office. He has the special privilege of being in the office.
So he wasn't a bad boy.
No, he was not a bad boy. He has the special privilege of being in the office and making sure that there's always someone on site.
So he has the whole thing that holds the whole thing down.
Listen, this is the voice. He's the voice. So he holds it all together, and that's his special privilege. He doesn't
Viha's
have
voice.
Yes, the Viha's voice.
Let me tell you something, right? Stop bigging up this ego, this inflated ego that my man has already. I mean, he's good at what he does, but
so let me tell you, I don't big up the ego of everybody in the housing authority because I'm looking at it from the outside in, you're gonna say, oh well, housing ain't doing nothing.
That's not true.
But then when you come in on the inside, you see people like Curtis, you see people like Miss Pell, you see people like Mr. Alexander, you see people like
Queen,
like Emanuela, and not just our
say
team.
That name correctly.
Yes. Not just our team. You see the asset management department, you see the leasing department, you see the property managers, and for all the things that they say, oh well, housing ain't doing anything. We big up a lot of people when we're on the show, but I really want to take the time out to big up everybody in the authority. Like, all of you are doing an amazing job, and without all of us are doing an amazing job, and without one department, the other departments can't
function.
We're not gonna function good.
But as you mentioned, if anyone's listening and have suggestions or want to be a part of the accessibility and staying in the loop, we always encourage everyone to become part of the Quality of Life Consortium, right? That's our stakeholders. And Miss Emanuela Perez Cassius, that's our director. Her number is 340-201-5068. We're always looking for partners.
What's the main number for St. Thomas?
777.
8442.
So the 8442 is constant.
Yes. The only thing that changes is the first three.
No. See, I'm gonna work with you.
Okay.
The exchange. Okay.
Put it in context for me.
Area code, exchange number.
The exchange is the only thing that changes.
Yo, the man called me out with the macro and micro thing. You know what I'm saying? I had to do. Yo, I want to thank you. I got a lot of superlatives I could use, but responsible. I'm gonna use responsible. Virgin Islands for joining us this morning here and analyze this and promoting initiatives to benefit the territory. And the Accessibility Starts at Home initiative, and the idea that we have our young people, our teenagers, gonna be communicating with our elderly folks and putting in these sensors, and lights will go on in the homes because they may not know somebody's by the door. These are little things that are gonna make the big thing, work out.
Building unity.
Yeah, man. No,
that's what it's about.
That's what I'm talking about. So I want to thank Adina Joseph.
Yes.
For joining me, man. Appreciate that. Glad you were here.
You too. Thank you.
Mr. Ajani Azibo Brung.
Thank you. Don't forget Phase 4 elections, Marley Homes and Addition, Wim Gardens, and H.H. Berg Homes and Addition. So if you live within any of these communities, please reach out 340-725-0465. I look forward to hearing from you.
AJ Brown at vihousing.org.
Yes.
Okay. AJ Brown at vihousing.org. And of course, Mr. Curtis Lewis, who unfortunately, will always be, not as popular as his mom's, but he's good at what he does. You know what I'm saying?
I'm charting my own path.
Yes, you are, Mr. Lewis. Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate that this morning.
Always.
Okay. Thank you very much, Miss Emanuela Perez Cassius, for your leadership and this good group of Virgin Islands you got working with you. Queen O'Bartlett, Curtis Lewis, Johnny Aziba Brung, Adina Joseph, Safari Emmanuel, Ida Mendez, Latoya Stradera, for doing what you do. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to talking
Thank
with you
you for
again
having us.
shortly, okay? You got it. That's the leadership at the Virgin Islands Housing. We learned a lot of things this morning. RAD and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? FSS, right? Acronyms left and right this morning. And, of course, we always say we want to be more educated at 10 a.m. than we were at 8 a.m. When the show starts, man. So thank you very much, Mr. Brown, for being here. Mr. Lewis, appreciate that. We're good. You're good. Good to see you, man. All right, take care, Miss Adina Joseph. Originally out of the east, but for handling business down on the west side. So we got more events going on, but